America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
Once they have established this as a precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people. It is all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2010 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that collaboration in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we are broadcasting live on May 20th. And do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is if you're watching it live or on the replay or listening on the replay? It's time for State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. And you know what? I would be remiss, but you know what time it is? It's time to bring Aisha, not Jill, and LaLa on. Aisha's still under the weather, family, so please send a good word to her if you're following her on any social media platforms. Hey, wish her the best in recovery. But hey, what's going on, ladies?
Great.
You're
feeling great.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a tea. It's a decaffeinated chai.
Oh,
with,
chai.
Little bit of milk in it, almond milk.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you know what? Family's already in the house. We've got Black Beauty is here. Jen is here. Wig Maniac is here. Heidi Ho, Jill is in her stripes again.
Yes.
There must be something going on. I didn't know about that.
I always wear stripes for the most part. It's like a mainstay of some Mariner shirt or some, something going on. Yeah, I should be sailing somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, have you guys heard about these orcas off the coast of Spain?
Yes!
Destroying boats, taking them, sailboats.
We said they've had enough.
It's trending, like they're all like doing it. It's like one saw one do it and another one did it, and they're just bringing them down. I was like, I'm on the side of the orcas. I mean, I don't want anyone hurt, a human, obviously, a nice person. But yeah, I think they're like, they're with this.
I think they stick with us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what's been going on in your worlds?
Oh, I don't know.
Wow. Everything.
Well, LaLa's in Portugal.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing a lot of property over here. I've got about 3 new listings get ready to come up, and then I'll be headed back stateside. But I wanted to come over and get these photos and walk through and look at them so that I can tell people how wonderful they are.
Is it 2 a.m. there? What time is it?
Yes, ma'am. It's 2 a.m, so I'm done.
You are legit. Whoa. Too legit to quit.
Too legit. Jill, what does it say on your coffee mug?
Caddy without coffee.
I think that's. I'm going to let the family provide feedback on that. I'm staying out of that commentary. Now, did you buy that, or did you buy that, or did someone buy it for you?
My friend Lisa bought this for me. Yes, of course she knows me. Caddy without coffee. I think Lisa bought it for me. Lisa Norsha. And and then my daughter has bought me cat cups. I mean, there isn't too much stuff that isn't cat related that I don't get.
Well, from my end of the world, we call them puss.
Yes, the little puss.
The puss.
Yes. And I'm
All
thinking
right.
of doing a nonprofit for cats.
Yes.
I'm thinking of opening that up, and I just need to find a facility to. Now I'm sort of looking around. That's what I want to do. I love animals, and I just love them so much. So I think that it's better with cats and dogs.
Well, it's interesting. Anytime I see any reference to Prince, the first person I think of is you. And it came up again today because I actually got a chance to watch some of Tavis Smiley on his All Talk station.
Yes. He has a new station.
He owns a radio station.
I had no idea. Congratulations.
Yes, he owns and long before he got controversial by his alleged actions, he was the gentleman that inspired me to do this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Because back in the day, he used to have a show on PBS.
He did, and I loved it because I'm a big PBS
those interviews were fantastic.
I love PBS. I could get rid of everything and just watch PBS shows and, really not much else. I love it. So he was fantastic.
Yeah, his interviews, like I watch him on YouTube.
Was that the interview where Prince was talking about chemtrails and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like two people from watching YouTube really influenced me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
He was one, and James Lipton inside the Actors Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, was he so good?
It's good to have these types of mentors, even and innovators. We don't often have them anymore. Not like that.
No.
Yeah, like I remember I was watching on YouTube many years ago. Was it? Yeah, Tavis Smiley interviewed. Why am I forgetting Mr. Star Wars? Who's the lead in Star Wars?
Kirk?
No, what's his name? Older
Luke Skywalker?
No, okay, Indiana Jones. Who's the guy who plays the lead in Indiana Jones back in the day?
I can't even think of his name.
Harrison Ford.
Thank you. I was thinking Harrison. Yes.
Yes.
And Harrison Ford is traditionally a person who does.
He was in the Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yes, he was.
And Harrison Ford is synonymous for not liking doing interviews. And about 5 minutes in, he said, Tavis, I'm really enjoying this. I said, you got to be good if you're saying you got that going on.
True.
You got to be good. But yeah. Yes. Thank you,
Billy D.
Tamara.
Williams was in it.
Harrison Ford. Yes.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford. Thank you.
And Billy D. Williams wasn't he in Star Wars too?
Yes. Yes.
He was Wookiee, wasn't he? No. He wasn't. He was friends with
He was in there.
Yeah. Not Han Solo, no. He was somebody that had a really cool name. Oh wow.
Oh, but he played that role too.
What a great part. Yeah.
Yeah. I so people don't get mad at me. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
I loved it when I saw it. Blew my mind. I'll never forget it going to when I was young. Loved it. Yes.
Man.
Yes. Carisian, Lando.
Yes, I was looking for it, but you got it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's too bad he couldn't continue on. But,
It's such great to have a great family who can watch our back. Or Jen corrects it now going, yes, Carl Reesian. All right.
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams. I remember I saw stuff on YouTube. He used to do commercials for Colt 45.
Yes.
But how funny is it that Colt 45 used to advertise?
Yes.
Right.
In the middle of I remember Soul Train, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like I'd watch it, and then we'd see these weird
So here's interesting. One of the few people I really respect in media is a gentleman named Freddie Coleman, who's been a longtime broadcaster on ESPN. And he's OG retro. And he was walking the stage yesterday and he had a Soul Train t-shirt on.
Oh, that's like classic.
Yes. Soul Train t-shirt. I went, that's Freddie, man. Freddie. That's just good stuff. But we've got stuff to chat about. And believe it or not, today, family, we had to knock some things off. Mm-hmm. And if you hear sort of pops in the background, it's actually Victoria Day long weekend here in Canada. So you may hear some fireworks popping in the background. So it's a long weekend here in Canada, but we are still here. And thanks, Jill, for retweeting that we're on. I like that. I love it. So what we going to talk about first today? What we going to talk about first? One of Jill and LaLa's favorite ladies.
Oh, please, somebody.
Two toes.
I am
Three toes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene introduces articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden. Thoughts?
The thought is it's ridiculous and it's a waste of time. And everything that she does is nothing but just her being the ridiculous. You know, those people that stand on the corner with bullhorns and just scream at you all day long. You see them in every city. That's her. Her agenda is nothing but to just sit and scream. That's all she does. And then she acts like, you know, somebody's attacking her at all times. What she came at was for the immigration bill, for the borders, saying that our borders were not protected. But let us not forget that it was Trump who started all this stuff in the first place. Now, where was all this outrageous stuff when Trump started all this stuff and things were not safe there? Trump's still saying he built the wall, okay? He said he literally built the wall and it's done. Jedi mind trick. The wall is built.
Exactly.
But I physically get ill when I see her now because she's nothing but a waste of time and wasting taxpayers' money. But still yet, I always have to acknowledge somebody put her there. So what do we do to get her out? Because this is a waste of time.
Yeah, I've just gotten to the point where I don't even like talking about her. I really don't. I don't even want her vibe in my sphere. She's an awful human being. She's going to continue on. She's not even worth talking about. I can't believe that we'll get into that later, but the reality is that she and Lauren Boebert they're changing. Both left their husbands, both having affairs, both have just like wilded out with their hillbilly selves, and low class women. They're really the bottom of the barrel. And to be honest, they're embarrassing. And whoever is allowing it, we know that the objective of the GOP is to try to make this convention of states so that they can go after Article 5. And that is I started on the Noom diet, and there's one thing that it asks you to have your big picture, YBP. So you have your big goal, and then you have your little stuff in between. And when you think about it, that's what the GOP is doing differently than the Democrats, because the Democrats, I don't want to get into throwing mud at them, but where they have not defined and separated themselves because they need the numbers of the progressives as well. So either the progressives need to level up and just get rid of the full-on Dems who are like old school and kick them to the curb, or vice versa, or decide to, okay, by hook or crook, we're going to stand together just for this next duration to get us over the hill. Because the problem is that the GOP, how do you have a whole backseat of people in the House Representatives who are forfeiting their careers in legislation? There are many who won't get voted back in, but they're willing to do it. So what kind of thing is happening there that they are making all the Asian people, all the Hispanics who are Republican in the House of Representatives to sit back buttoned up? What kind of is actually going on? Because for me, that's really crazy. How would you corral? Let's just put our heads together. How would you do that with a bunch of people? What are you telling them?
That's right.
What are you doing to them? You're either threatening them or you're bribing them. There's only two ways.
You either sleeping with me or you got me in the corner with a knife.
We can barely get people on a plane organized. We can get people barely organized doing anything, that amount of people. So what's really happening? So Democrats who want to go after each other and kick out and do some jujitsu moves and knock Adam Schiff to the curb because, he's about to get his handed to him because they're like trying to vote his ass out. And over George Santos, let me tell you something. Adam Schiff will be thrown out before George Santos. I can tell you that. And that's criminal. That is actually criminal.
Yes. But the GOP is holding him up as some poster child. You know, oh, no, he did nothing wrong. Once again, the Jedi mind trick, he did nothing wrong. So this is their whole agenda, but they've been planning this for years. We all know it. Now is the environment where they're pulling all the strings that they have put into place in the past. And I read an article the other day, and especially since Kentucky is my home state, and we all know I love me some turtleneck, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I told y'all when I was on that airplane with them that there was some shenanigans going on. And now who's running for governor of Kentucky? His son-in-law.
Cameron, or what's his name? David Cameron?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Daniel Cameron.
Yeah.
But I read the history of how he even got there. Mitch doesn't play. This was the title of it. Mitch doesn't play checkers. He plays chess.
I read that.
Mm-hmm. And so therefore he groomed him to do exactly what he wants him to do. Now he's pulling the trigger. This is no different than what they're doing on the national level, not just the state level. Because see, once you get to the state, then of course you can get to the national, right? You and I all know that they're in there for life. You could be 103 and still serve, which I think is wrong in itself. That needs to change. But they're not going to vote against that for themselves. That wouldn't do them a service to do that. Yeah. So we're seeing, and we're seeing things unfold before our eyes that, you know, we could many years ago, even the Republican Party, even in the 60s and 70s would be like, what's going on? But now they're leading it.
Yeah. And if they do ever get their hands on Article 5, which at the rate we're going, it will happen.
Yes.
Jill,
sadly.
Jill, I don't want to, well, two things. I want to ask you about Article 5, but I'm going to catch up on some comments because I forgot to give them in real time. Jen says, love the mug, Jill.
Thank you. And
she also says, agree, PBS is the best. I am a member.
Yes, I am.
So, and Tamara says, yes, I've been away for a while, but I'm glad to be back. Hello, everyone. Good to have you back.
I know. It's been a long time. Very long
yes,
time.
And Cinema's in the house. Good evening, guys. Thank you so much. So, Jill, educate me. I obviously am not an American. And what is Article 5?
Well, it's, you know, basically what's happening is when there's a rule that if there's a percentage, like a third in our government that can basically vote on things, basically they can take control to change the Constitution. So that's sort of laid out for you how it's described. And when that happens, they don't need the same judicial process or legislative process about how to go about getting rid of abortion or getting rid of it. It can just be done. It's that we're talking about creating amendments to things that are in the Constitution, like let's get rid of, you know, whatever, or let's put in X, Y, and Z. So that's what the GOP want. And they've got 17 states that have already passed the legislation for this type of, these types of new considerations. So and there are other states. If you go to, I had a site and I'll try to find it. If you go, you can see what states already have the legislation waiting to get voted on locally in each state, of representatives and their own Senate. So the reason that it's so dangerous is because it's just slowly being done. It's just been,
and quietly.
Yeah, quietly.
This is why we keep telling people that you need to stop just voting for the big elections.
Yes.
You truly do need to vote at your ground level, not just even for your state, like your state, your neighborhood. Because a lot of these times they get in like, oh, I want to be the librarian.
Right.
And then they climb the ladder. So this is why this is proof that this is why you need to start locally and not just nationally.
Yeah. If you go to conventionofstates.com, you will see all of the worst characters, the Charlie Kirks, all of them are there. The Mike Flynns, all of them have signed up and are participating in this. So they're Steve Bannon, all of them, all of the, what did they say? The usual suspects are there. Mm-hmm. So people who have been platformed really high with their blogs, their podcasts, who are in this movement, they're all moving it in that direction. Okay. So you can have somebody, Joe Rogan and all those people, they are being paid to kind of steer the ship in that direction. And I got to say that if it comes down the pike like that, you're looking at your children having, like, they could set women back 100 years. They could also change the voting rights and say Black people can't vote on Friday or at all. But what we're also noticing is that this dissent and this tribalism that's happening, the last time we've seen anything this, like, you look at, like, nothing is getting done except their legislation. They figured this out a long time ago. This was a really huge master plan. And what's really scary is how many people jumped on to support it in the judicial system, in the courts, everywhere. They've been lined up and ready and waiting for a long time. So we're in a lot of trouble at how do you unravel this? Because it kind of seems like we never, ever got rid of the Ku Klux Klan or any kind. We never did. They just laid back and sat back in the cut. You know, it's like sitting out on the Serengeti and you're walking down and they went pow and they just eat your, you know, this is what
they don't teach this in school anymore.
Because it's a test game.
That's right. Because they don't want people to be educated about what this is. No. So, you know, they've already
systematic. DeSantis is involved in it. Abbott is involved in the Convention of States. And if you look at them, you can look at all the governors who are participating in this. This is where they're going. And they're slowly, you know, it's like the little engine that could. They're actually doing this, and they will undermine everything if they can. Because unfortunately, what they've created is a sense of community. And I was talking to somebody today about it. Like, white people technically don't have a community anymore. They used to have their town club, their clubs where they go and play tennis and swim, their country clubs, they're all these things. Those have been eradicated on a certain level because it's like, oh, these are racist. They have their co-ops in New York that keep Jewish people and Black people out. That's a little bit of their community, but it got a little too hot and they're upset about stuff. So here's the problem is like, when you don't have a sense of community, I was like with the army military, why they're getting radicalized so quickly is because they're coming out or being thrown away from the government. The government's not taking care of them properly. All this dissension fuels right-wing coercion. It fuels them getting indoctrinated because they create a sense of family for them. Here we are. We're going to take care of you. We need you to do this. We need to give you something. This is why. So in a really weird way, Republicans will never support any systems that will help people to build a community. That's the irony here. And the reason they won't make people safe and stand on their own and be secure human beings is because they need them to be parasitical. They need people to need them. They need them like broken in order to take them and f up their entire minds and their lives.
Okay. Anything you want to add, LaLa?
No, because she's right on point. Absolutely on point.
Okay.
So Marjorie Taylor's just a part of those meetings. I mean, maybe her initiation was a big old train. I don't know. But, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. I can't stand the woman. She's a barbaric human, subhuman.
All right. I thought just to get the conversation energized, we start off with, you know, with her, because I know you have nothing to say about her. So no. I thought that we'd start off with that. So let's move.
Monster looking teeth she has. It's just like weird.
She's a creep. No, let's put it this way. There are certain things that I don't call people. Like, you know, sometimes you call people things that you know, there is one word I will not use. It disgusts me to no end. And I called her that the other day, and my husband said, "Oh,
okay, all right.
Yes.
so,
Let's calm down.
I will not repeat it. Don't worry,
unless
Dr.
we
Val.
have to, we won't get any of that trigger on either one of you. I'll make sure I'll keep it as only if you agree to use that person's name. I'm going to use in the future. No triggering. No triggering. So let's continue on. New evidence in special counsel probe may undercut 45's claim documents he took were automatically disqualified.
Declassified. Declassified.
Oh, sorry, declassified.
Yeah. Disqualified too. That would do it.
Right. I don't understand why you're dragging this out. This is the most redundant, stupid thing that I have ever heard. We're gonna come after you in August. Be ready. I mean, if you're gonna do it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a case, do it. Pull the gun. You don't need to let anybody else know what you're doing. Put yourself in stealth mode and do what you need to do. This is stupid. This gives him all the ammo he needs to go and fight every little bit that he's done and drag it out even more. And that's what they love to do. They like to just, oh, you just gonna give me a little bit. Let me drag this out for the next 3 years. This is just, I'm over it. If you're gonna do it, do it. Stop being a punk.
It's very kabuki, and it's a little bit overly dramatic for me. I like a clean sweep. I like you to do it swift, fast, and in a hurry and get it done. And send the cleaner later to take care of it. Because the problem is that you raise more doubt, and then there's more people that are so tired of hearing about this monster. And it's just awful. I don't know why all the drama and the showboating. It's really like theater. And you don't want me to start saying things are like theater, because then nobody takes our system seriously. This is like rapid, like this is an emergency. And they move as slow as molasses. It's absolutely,
it's a
unacceptable. It's unacceptable. This was a country. This was a country once. But it's not anymore. It's just piecemeal. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden or anything. I mean, he's done his best. But this, I've also talked to a few people who said they don't feel that their lives have been enhanced or on any level from a presidential standpoint for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the absolute kind of truth. You know, it's like, wow, well, that's it. I mean, what have they done but chip away at the fabric?
And the damage has been done. The everything that needed to be sold or bought or bargained with, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. How do you put that back in the box? You can't.
I know. It's so funny. I am dealing with a situation in my neighborhood. There's a building, 2 buildings, and they had a nice little courtyard with grass. And I was like, okay, there's a four here, four units here, 4 units there, and now they're laying something in the middle. And I was like, what the f is that? Well, they're laying another ADU, another additional dwelling unit. So on the state level, on the federal level, we know that ADUs don't typically go with apartment buildings. You don't just put a little ADU. But this greedy landlord who evicted elderly people in Glendale, California, elderly people with a month's notice, and then sat up there and is squeezing property where I don't even think that if you had a wheelchair, you could have access, really. And for me, so I called the planning department and I said, why would you guys approve this? Like, I mean, really? This was their lawn. This was so they could see lawn. Didn't matter. The piece of who bought it decided to throw people out with a month's notice. And then, so the guy tells me, the planner, city planner of Glendale, California, says, well, our legislation says it's okay now to put an ADU in the middle of that'd be like me putting like a house in the middle of Cabrini Green or something. You know what I'm saying? Right. In the middle, in the middle of like an apartment complex. So he said, our legislation is for people. The state's been on us about providing, getting housing. There's a housing shortage. I said, no, sir. It's called affordable housing.
That's
you guys
right.
have evicted people who were paying $700 a month. They're old, and now you're renting the new buildings you renovated for $3,000. I said, stainless steel dishwasher ain't never made an apartment another $2,000 more expensive. So we're dealing with the loopholes that our politicians are still not getting, Dr. Vibe. LaLa, they're still not getting it. We need to vote for people who know the loopholes. We need to know, not so to go in there to protect them.
Right.
We need people to go, yo, our number one problem in America are real estate developers. They don't give a f- about you. And it's called getting it, when you have property, I can write the off all that I want to, but then you're mad because when we gentrify, then there's property taxes that go up.
Exactly.
And we come in and we still steal from the little guy again. It is called real estate, and it's always been about land. Don't let anybody ever tell you that America has not been about one thing on the top: land ownership.
That's right.
And the crazy thing is, if Black people own land, they've gone out and they've called eminent domain to take it from them. So
every time
about this new evidence and all this other that they're doing, it's just another way to wax another and not find one hair out of place on these. I can't believe it. I'm over it. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care what happens to Trump. I really don't give a.
Because we're too busy trying to eat. You know, people are just trying to eat and live, and all
collecting a paycheck. There's no reason for them to do anything fast anymore, because why? That's the end of their gig. You see what I'm saying? It's like, wow, if I drag this gig out for a year, I could make about $2 million or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, get a 10-star. They're no different than 10-star, all of them. You know, it's like, go sit down, because everybody's got some skin in the game. Everybody's got a kid in college. Everybody's got some debt that they want to work off. And if you're a justice of the Supreme Court, you can, you know, go and get your paid for. And those people are destroying the world. The Koch family and all their little minions have been working very, very hard. I just want to know what, I don't know. I don't even know. This country used to be something. I don't know what it is anymore.
So getting back to the main line of conversation for this segment. So I always like to raise this question. Will we ever see 45 serve one day in prison?
Never. I mean, that was never my belief system. You, LaLa?
No. There's too much corruption. There's too much fluff. And like I said, they like to keep us in the ball of confusion. So they're doing things with this ball of confusion because they can, while they're doing the things in the background that we don't see. So as long as they keep him in the forefront, and with the hope of us who wish that we would like to see it, then they can do what they want to do. I don't believe it. He's either going to die, or we're all going to die before he sees something.
Exactly. With him and his whose army is he going to go to jail? Ain't nobody going to send Donald Trump to jail. Right. They won't do it. He'll never serve a day in jail. And, you know, he has beat the system. They should just move on, pack it up, and pack it in, because they haven't. We got some of the brightest minds in the world who went to all these Ivy League schools, and nobody can figure it out. Nobody.
But that's how he's always had his life, even as a child. So this is how his world works.
Because you have access to people very, very early. When you're rich like that, you usually do.
Yep.
I mean, look at how they embraced with the Saudis, how they brought back Bashir. I mean, these people don't care. Murder and dead bodies and bones and people don't mean anything to these rich people. They don't care. This is a feudal system we are looking at. And where we're headed is going to be even worse for our children and their children. This is not the America that you bring children into. You don't have babies. I'd go and ask to get a hysterectomy if I were young again. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't risk it.
Because I have a new nephew that was born this week.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you what, I as much as that pleases my heart, I actually prayed over that baby. I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, you have come into this crazy world, and I don't know what's going to happen to you, because I can't imagine being a parent in this day and age.
No, me either. I don't encourage it with my daughter. I mean, I honestly,
a black boy, Black, any African American, you got targets, baby. You don't have one target. You have target all over you. So it scares me. It scares me.
We can't dream for our children. We can't dream because it's a bloody nightmare that's coming down the pike. And the only thing you can hope is that, that they have some money, because without money, there's nobody that it's going to be. It really is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Okay, so let's have some more fun. Okay, let's get off that conversation topic. And hey, people are watching live, not hearing from you this evening.
I know, right?
What's going on?
A little heavy tonight, I guess.
Well, what's going on? Let's hear from y'all. Let's hear from y'all. New conversation topic. The FBI broke their own rules in January 6th and BLM intelligence search court finds.
When has the FBI or the CIA not broken their own rules? This is nothing new. They just put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing new. We know that they're just as corrupt as everybody else we've been talking about, the judicial system, the House, and everything. There's no difference between. I have no faith in our government at all, especially when it comes to any kind of superior stuff that they like to do, because people like power. And we know that they've been infiltrated by racists. We know that.
Well, they've been infiltrated by an ideology that's promising them that this is the solution. The system's been broken for a long time. And that's where I go back into, when you get rid of the community or the brotherhood or the sisterhood of any of these entities, that means, like, even with our military and all of our people, it is so very important. It breaks my heart to have to think that these agencies are, I'm sure they have their bad eggs and everything, but we can't let that come to the point where we just don't believe anything that they're doing. That's what they want, So for me, it's like, I just can't continue to think that that's completely the way it is. It just,
I'm struggling with that. I'm really struggling with that.
So,
I always try to have some kind of positive thing. Like, there's always some good agents, but right now I feel like the bad is outweighing the good, and we are in a battle for everything.
I don't know enough about it. I know the media is reporting a lot about these CIA agents and FBI people, and to be honest with you, I'm sure it's basically not a topic that you can say as much about anymore, because we don't know what's really going on. I know that Trump endangered so many of our people's lives, and they've just downgraded everything. But I've never heard so many people in a country destroy our intelligence people like we're doing. And I think it's wrong. Personally, I think it's wrong.
It's like an attack within.
Yes, and I don't think it's something that I want to do personally, because I don't go to London and hear everybody talking about MI5 and MI6 being corrupt. I know there are things that they have to do that's not cool. All right. And I'm okay with that. There's some things that I know if they need to. Why are we okay if we see James Bond doing something that he's got to, like, beat somebody or shoot somebody? I mean, would I really have them, when they finally go, James Bond, here's your new protocol of how you can stop a criminal? They think it'll be the same show. I mean, so in my mind, and it's less glamorous than the James Bond image. We're talking about people who are in places, in consulates, in all of these things. They can't always tell us everything. The transparency level, it's a little crazy, but I blame people like Snowden and all of them. It's, and the ACLU always, and somebody else trying to talk about somebody's rights. Oh my God, we droned somebody and blew up a whole whatever. Well, what the called war? I mean, honestly, what the are we supposed to do? I know it's terrible, but did everybody just wake up and hit themselves and suddenly decide, oh my God, this shouldn't happen on this? Well, what are you kidding? We're not going to have that kind of war for a long time. There's covert activities and things that go on. I just can't believe what people are demanding. Really, I just can't believe it. these people are our intelligence people, and I just can't. What are they saying with the BLM intelligence search that was so bad?
Let me see if I can build it. LaLa,
Well,
do you have anything you want to add on this as I take a look at the article? Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I do agree with Jill on the fact that we don't need to know everything, and I've always said that. I think us as a people need to sometimes step back and understand that things that need to happen that we don't need to know about. If we know about them, so do the people who's not supposed to know about it. But I also have such a I have a love-hate relationship with this type of agency, because we do know that there are good agents. And I'm a crime freak. I love anything that I can, wrap my head around, and how things are when they come out for the good. But we know from long ago that the innocent people, especially with our leaders during the civil rights and stuff, they were unnecessarily targeted. So I have that disdain for it. But we also know that more and more white supremacy is getting into these groups, and this is what we get. So once again, I say this is a throwback as what they've always done, in fact, with our leaders. So why can't we do better with choosing the people who are going to be in these positions? I mean, because obviously, if you're supposed to be so good at searching for things and digging out stuff, why can't you do the better background checks on the people who are in here?
I knew from the beginning with Black Lives Matter that was going to run off with the money. I'm sorry. The Black Lives Matter was not organized. There was no home base. Why would I give any money to somebody that's a roving reporter or a roving grifter? No. I mean, no. I never understood that. And I thought they totally exploited the situation. And I was appalled at how everybody just fell for this. I mean, yes, Black lives do matter. But those people bought a lot of homes out here in California. They're one of the richest property places in the world. And for me, I find that to be incredibly unforgiving. So I don't care whose house they had to raid to find out about it. And sadly, it's just really not cool. We have people that are supposed to be role models and set standards. But yet again, another group, as my Black grandmother would say, they just couldn't be counted on. They aren't. Where are the programs that Black Lives Matter raised all this money from? They didn't do anything. They didn't.
And it's not just way.
Why should I give a that they repeatedly violated their own standards? Seriously, if they let regular citizens go and raid those people's houses, there might have been another story, because they did nothing. No. They did nothing.
Okay, let me read a little bit of this story to give some more context. This is from The Guardian. FBI officials repeatedly violated their own standards when they searched a vast repository of foreign intelligence for information related to the January 6th insurrection and racial justice protests in 2020, according to court order released this past Friday. FBI officials said thousands of violations would also include improper searches of donors to a congressional campaign, predated a series of corrective measures that started in the summer of 2021 and continued last year. But the problems could nonetheless complicate FBI and Justice Department efforts to receive congressional reauthorization of a warrantless surveillance program that law enforcement officials say is needed to counter terrorism, espionage, and international cybercrime. The violations were detailed in a secret court order issued last year by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance, FISA, court, which has legal oversight over the U.S. government spy powers. The Office of the Director of the National Intelligence released a heavily redacted version on Friday, when what officials said was in the interest of transparency.
We don't need transparency. No. But here's the other thing. The Guardian newspaper is a British newspaper. So number one, there's that. Number two, do we have to keep talking about everything bad that people are doing? Can we just, for a minute, tell me something good? Because number three, Donald Trump almost gutted our whole FBI system and our CIA. So as far as I'm concerned, they had to go and do some unorthodox things in order to get back on side, because he derailed them. There were moments that I don't even think they knew who was who at some point, if we really want to be honest, which is a frightening prospect to think that there were people who died that they have said because of him in the CIA. There were agents, men and women, who were killed and discovered because they turned over. They gave them something. You think Jared Kushner and them got $2 billion for what?
Yeah, right.
For what? What did they?
And then also, they and part of this presidency afterwards, they're still protecting this man. They're still required. Secret Service is still required to stay on him and his family.
And whose donors are they? Well, not to cut you off before I lose my track because I'm old. This is probably what the donors, meaning someone like that crazy guy with the white hair that was friends with Trump. All of those. See, they're not. Guardian is leaving out what donors, the Republican donors. What donors are you guys saying were raided? And the only ones that I recall were Republicans. That Roger Stone, freak of the freakoids, and the other one who legitimately went to jail. Like, really? So they're gonna parse about technicalities, but those were still guilty. This is the crazy thing about law. You could go in and find evidence, but how you get it is, there's a lot of times our own law enforcement has the same struggle. And they're upset. They're just so desperate to get what they need. And sometimes, but that doesn't mean that those were innocent.
Right. True.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, true. No, you didn't cut me off. I think this is a good topic because it is a very, it's one of these push-pull conversations because you have to have a certain level, but at what cost do you have a certain level? And how do you fix it when it never was right in the first place, when the foundation was never right in the first place? So how do you go back and fix this? I don't know how.
Right, because if we're going to sit and whine because Roger Stone, somebody came in during his dinner time and didn't knock on the door, I don't give a flying crock. I don't care. The fact is, but these are technicalities, which is why people walk with their computers and all their child porn. This is it. And I get it. They may have broken and that changes the scope of their searches and what they're looking for with January 6th. We're going to really talk about how the FBI went in and got those people who, do I care that they broke down a door? No. So why is the Guardian giving all this? Do we care? We got bigger fish to fry in this country. And it ain't about, dogging our FBI and CIA people. I just won't do it. I won't do it for those people. I won't do it.
Anything else, LaLa? All right. All right. All right. Let's continue on. Gentleman named Jamaal Bowman finds his voice. And for some reason, some Republicans don't like him. Why don't they like him?
Big, scary black man gonna come and get you.
So sad.
I'm so ridiculous. This goes all the way back to slavery. They scared to death of us. You cannot say anything at all without being threatening. Let me tell you something. You got that big mouth Marjorie who's talking about, I'm so scared of him. We should check him. That's nothing but code white girl whistle. Help! Somebody come and get this black man because he's threatening me. This is Emmett Till all over again. She knew what she was doing. She was calling her cronies, and he called her on her and said, you know what you did, and I'm going to be out here and tell you what you did. You put my life at risk, and you know you did because you're calling. And I am so glad that he has the cojones to come out and speak like he does. This is who we need. We need more like him.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do. And for me, it's incredibly sad. I think that it takes a lot of courage and bravery what he's doing, because all she's doing is dog whistling her base and the GOP base to hurt him and harm him, like they did for Nancy's husband and every other person that's gotten beaten up or hurt or injured by their dog whistles. It's time that people stand up. She still hasn't recovered from how New York treated her when Trump was arrested. They like it. That was the day that she better never step her back in a place with a bunch of Black people at this point, because and not even that, just people who really are tired of it, because she's, as Annie Lennox said, I think she's walking on broken glass, y'all.
Yeah, I do too. It's going to be very interesting to follow her story, but
you better, it's bad. You don't do that. You don't do that to people, because that's like that's karmic. You're sending out an energy. And when you send it out like that, it opens up the universe to respond to that. And it isn't sometimes not the way you think it's going to be. So she should really watch her words, because she'll manifest something that she won't be happy with. I mean, it's just, we've seen it. I mean, I'm a lot older. I see how this works in life.
So should Mr. Bowman be watching his back?
Oh, I believe he already is. He knows he has to. But he's been doing that all of his life. You see, this goes all the way back to why we, as Black families, have to sit our children down earlier to tell them you're not the same as anyone else. So he's prepared. He knew what he was stepping in, but he also called it out. This is not a secret conversation behind closed doors. Oh, you better be careful. No, he's letting people know.
But it won't be. Yeah, the Democrats don't ever do anything right when it comes to standing behind somebody, and they need to figure out either it's not showing up for some of her things, it is something that she has to be penalized for. Yes. Socially penalized. This is not about let's move on and ignore it, because this is the second time he stood up in different votes, and he's been there, and I've seen other Democrats walk out the door. They don't want it anymore. We don't want that anymore. Right. They don't want it, so we better start doing it.
Catching up on some comments from the family here. Black Beauty says, Dr. Vibe personally, quote, I'm just lost for words, unquote, because my country's in trouble. Yeah. Cinema Canella says, well, the ladies are telling the sad and scary truth. The future is dark. Tamara, the present and future are very dark. I took a break from listening to and watching the news. I thought it would improve my mental health, but I may need to take some more time seriously. Paul Katz, haven't seen you in a minute, Paul. Glad to have you back. Marjorie has some gall to say she's afraid of Jamaal when she's a gun lover and called a sitting president on Canada on camera a piece of blank. Look at her in that video. Does that look like fear? No. And then he also says, and yes, Jill, her karma is going to come around. I can't wait to see what it is.
Well, because we can look at her now, we've had enough time to study her and Lauren Boebert, and we can see how they think, how they learn, and how they communicate. And after that observation, you can kind of see this really in Ghost, in that movie Ghost, when the dark thing came out of the sewer like that. My grandmother, there was a native, somebody beyond in my family, but had said there was a saying, which was, they walk with a bad spirit.
Yes.
And they do. And they're all here amongst us. The thing now that you need to be teaching your children very early on is to be able to identify the spirit that's walking with them. Because sometimes your kid's going to have to stand up to that spirit and, say whatever, what it needs to be said. But they do walk with bad spirits. There are, as Prince said, there's others here with us, and believe it. And they're all here.
All right.
God, I forgot about that, Jill. I remember my grandmother saying that as well. And that just rings so true.
You can start to see it if you stare at them long enough. You can see the dark aura around. And what's so funny is they shapeshift. Yes. People like that will stay around you. They'll start using, what they've done is taken everything that we've said. It's like they study the Meisner technique from like the neighborhood playhouse. When you study acting, you repeat what somebody says back and forth and back and forth. They do that liberally. But then that means every day spiritually, you have to find the best crystals, the best protection, a medallion, a talisman. You need to arm yourself in the cloak of your supreme being master. I think it's a beautiful thing, guys. Remember, I've been freaked out a lot, but I have my issues with the Bible and the so-called Christians today. But the two, I can't mix it so much because I know that there is a higher power. But what's so beautiful is this pedestrian notion of Christianity and this sick, weird that they've got going on that they're calling Christianity. To me, it only re-emphasizes the power that's really there. Mm-hmm. And that power is saying, I told you, and I want you to see this, and I want you to be bigger and better than this. So for me, every time I see a three-toed Taylor Greene, it's like, she's evil beyond compare. Mm-hmm. This is it. We started out talking about Star Wars. Star Wars was spiritual, y'all.
Yeah.
This is a spiritual battle, and they're on the wrong side.
Yes.
They are so good at convincing people they twist it. They are the Tower of Babel. They're everything. If you really want to pray, pray. Say the names. Say the names that they are afraid of, and they will flee. Mm-hmm. They will flee with those names.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's take a quick little break. And I didn't do it at the beginning. I'll say it here. Hey, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. So like it. And then notification, when you hit the notification button, that will notify you of upcoming conversations. You can also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and LinkedIn. And let's get back to our conversation. I want to give the leads a little bit of a break, but they're on such a fly. I don't want to interrupt the groove. So let's talk about this one. In a world, quote, in a lot of the world, the clock has hit midnight. China is calling in loans to dozens of countries from Pakistan to Kenya. And we're actually going to broadcast a little bit of this conversation on Instagram Live. What is up, Instagram Live? You're listening to State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. You're listening to Jill and LaLa tonight. Aisha is not well. So the two ladies are carrying it as always. And we're talking about how China is now calling in loans to dozens of countries from Pakistan to Kenya. Ladies, thoughts?
Ties right into bricks, doesn't it? Now they're calling these loans due to countries who cannot in any kind of way pay them back.
Right.
And a lot of the times the terms of these loans were secretive, and part of the loans, they were not allowed to talk about them or disclose them. So this prevents these countries who have these debt to China to not even be able to get another backer. Right. Because if they get another backer, they have to disclose the terms. So this is a catch-22. And what do you think is going to happen next? When they're not able to pay this, they're going to come and do what they need to come. That builds them, that makes them stronger. And we all know what they're doing with the money. Right now, in the countries that owe China, that they're calling due, many of them have lost jobs. Many of them have lost everything. Some of the people who are helping run the state are not getting paid because the government has told them you're either going to work for free or we're going to default and you're going to be owned by China. So that is what's happening. There was a man's story, I believe it was in Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. Family of 4 who actually said, I am thinking about suicide because I can't watch my family go hungry another day. And It's all because they no longer have the money because the government is scrambling to pay back China. Y'all, this is not something you need to blink at and not think about. We keep telling you about BRICS. We keep telling you that these countries are lining up against us. And this is what's happening. Yes. And it's happening before your eyes. And you need to be protecting your money, but keep your eyes open on what's going on in the world and not what's just going on in the United States. This is very, very dangerous.
Okay, just going to put up a quick comment here, and also I'll read some of the article. Cinema Canella says those loans payments are most likely land infrastructure. And what's up, Van Sleeger, and also Convo Media joining on the Instagram broadcast. You are listening to a section of State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa.
What's so funny about this, sorry, just one quick thing, is that, everybody wants to talk about the, colonialism, like America, blah, blah, blah. And we're like hand slapping everybody for their imperialistic views and their colonialism. But ain't nobody stopping China from doing the same thing. No. The oppressed, they can't help but keep oppressing people. They just can't. But, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the scary part is Pakistan is an armed nation.
Yes, they don't have a nuclear.
Yes.
Yes.
They do.
They do. And it's just really sad to me to keep seeing our African people and brown-skinned people being slaves. I mean, but let's be honest. We remember how the Chinese were so brutal to Puyi. If you remember, the end of the emperor. Y'all better hang on to your hats. I'm with LaLa. Pay attention, because if you didn't ever watch The Last Emperor and see how the military got involved there, they've been running their little race with their people, and they know how they're going to corral them. They killed all the Uyghurs. The fact is, when you let people continue on over money, doing the things, and they're no different than what America was doing, like economic hitmen. That's what they are.
Yes.
Money, blah, blah, blah. Now you're mine. They're pimps. They're pimping, big pimping. That's all this shit is about. I still won't count America out, because we're still dirty enough to think of something. But that's why we need our CIA and our boys and our FBI people intact. I'm not going to tear them down, because it's about to get really raggedy.
Okay. All right. Just want to say the Safe Room official, thanks for stopping by. Fancy Face 123, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to read a quick little excerpt from this article that is from Fortune.com. A dozen poor countries are facing economic instability and even collapse under the weight of hundreds of billions of dollars in foreign loans, much of them from the world's biggest and most unforgiving government lender, China. An Associated Press analysis of a dozen countries most indebted to China, including Pakistan, Kenya, Zambia, Laos, and Mongolia, found that paying back that debt is consuming an even greater amount of the tax revenue needed to keep schools open, provide electricity, and pay for food and fuel. And it's draining foreign currency reserves of these countries used to pay interest on these loans, leaving some with just months before the money is gone. Behind the scenes is China's reluctance to forgive debt, and its extreme secrecy about how much money it has loaned and on what terms, which has kept the other major lenders from stepping in to help. On top of that is the recent discovery that borrowers have been required to put the cash in hidden escrow accounts that push China to the front of the line of creditors to be paid. Countries in AP's analysis had as much as 50% of their foreign loans from China, and the most are devoting more than a third of government revenue to paying off debt. Two of them, Zambia and Sri Lanka, have already gone into default, unable to make interest payments on loan financing the construction of ports, mines, and power plants. In Pakistan, millions of textile workers have been laid off because the country has too much foreign debt and can't afford to keep the electricity on and machines running. In Kenya, the government has held back paychecks to thousands of civil service workers to save cash to pay foreign loans. The president's chief economic advisor tweeted last month, quote, "Salaries or default, take your pick," unquote. Experts predict that unless China begins to soften its stance on its loans to poor countries, there could be a wave of defaults on political.
But it won't. They want to kill the black people. They won't. They're a very racist country. I mean, no, I'm not trying to get on anybody's thing here, but why they didn't even like the Uyghurs. What do you think they want to do with black folks? Let's stop mincing and tiptoeing. They will starve them to death.
Exactly.
So that they get the land, as Cinnamon was talking about. And they'll get it by hook or crook.
Don't blink, y'all, because they still own not. They don't. We are at the debt ceiling tick down.
Yeah. And the Saudis never stopped slavery. They always put black people in chains somehow. Always.
So I don't know if I've shown it on this program. I have on a few other programs about the top banks in the world. Did I show it on here?
Yeah, I know, not on here, but I saw it with you.
I saw it with you on our.
So people need to realize of the top banks in the world, the first four are Chinese banks. The first four are Chinese banks.
But remember, something still isn't making sense because they've had a financial crisis themselves with their real estate. So a lot of this stuff and what the media is reporting and what's coming out and their high suicide rates and what's really going on in their country, there's still something that's driving this fear that they want all of us to feel. So I'm a little bit like, I still believe that, there's always room for something to go completely wacky because, people are tired across the world. People are tired and they're not this, as a friend once said to me, this ain't no movie. So we don't know how this is going to play out, but it will play.
Well, it's just interesting as I'm just doing some typing here that it's funny how China's just slowly but surely like a cobra.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, but we give them way too much credit for being anything more than the snakes that they are, right? So, I mean, honestly, it's like...
Some people may say they're not too much different than the United States, just they're more quietly ruthless.
They're worse. They're worse. They're worse because actually, if they let this all go that way, then they're worse than America. They're worse. They have no salvage plan.
Well, hey, look, hey, we talked a few weeks ago. They have police stations in foreign countries.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Right? That's a new. I'm still shocked. Even in Canada, they have police. I'm still sort of shaking my head on that one. That was a new level for me.
Well, says a lot about the governments that are allowing them to be there. They should have been ushered out as soon as that article dropped.
See, but you have to give credit though to the Chinese. They know that we always say on the program, follow the money, and they've given the money out to these countries. My homeland, Jamaica, they built a highway right across Jamaica.
Yeah, but they can break these. You know what? Why are they in such servitude to white billionaires? Why?
Because again, they've got the money.
Yeah, but I'm saying, why are they in servitude? They're there. They are billionaires. That's what they're doing. I don't know. It's all Xi. He's the one making the money for himself. I can't say the people trickling down. This is all Xi's world. This is him.
Yes.
So, but China is literally Elon Musk and Gates. He's their Buffett, all of them. They do what they tell them to do. They're corporations. You don't want to deal with it. You pull your corporation out somewhere. That's it. They're just and now they're the bitch of Russia too. That's it. What do they do? I can't say that's a man anybody would want to date. Would you? If it were a man?
Right.
Oh my gosh. Cinnamon Canela says PBS had a section about China, Spain, found out something in Madrid. Don't know what you mean by that, Cinnamon. You need to give me some more copy on that because I'm not getting 100% on that. So let's move to our finale conversation piece. AI makes non-invasive mind reading possible by turning thoughts into text. Before we get into that, I'm jumping off of Instagram. If you want to watch the full conversation live or on the replay, jump over to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and you'll catch more of this epic conversation with non-controversial language. So remember to give yourself grace. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and we will see you soon. Be well and keep the faith. All right, let's get back. Final conversation. Oh, by the way, actually, thank you, Fitness IQ Cam. She said I did show that chart on the Morning Vibe, another one of the platforms. But there you go. So that's enough. Let's get to our final conversation piece. AI makes non-invasive mind reading possible by turning thoughts into text. Joe, you wanted to chat about this. Start it off.
Yes, I was watching Ari Melber yesterday, and I found it really interesting because he had a few guys on talking about this leap, really incredible discovery. Now they've been obviously working with AI in labs to, push it through with MRIs and things like that. And it is able now to look at a pattern in a brain and sort of complete the story and see what's being said, and to start being able to, they're saying it's non-invasive at this moment because it's still at the beginning stages, but they're thinking that people who are paralyzed or people who have MS or people who have ALS, different kinds of diseases where they can't speak, this will be incredibly helpful for them to communicate. But then there's the other side of it, as we all know, what nefarious, how is this going to be used in a nefarious aspect, which if other countries decide to, if this AI moves into a more intelligent space, a different space where it's able to be like Minority Report and kind of like pre-crime thoughts, or if we get to that point, what do we do? How do we restrict something like this? That was the big question.
But that's the whole question. They've let this animal out of the box. And although I do see that there may be some good for it, I can very clearly see that a lot of bad can also be done for it.
Yes.
But the godfather of AI even came out and said, "Oh, we got to be careful." So you can't just unleash the dragon and expect it to go back in the cave.
True.
And I can see that. I think it's great that they can do it for people maybe who have strokes and things of that nature. But if you can do it for good, you can also do it for bad. And it's already been proven that it's been done for bad.
Yeah, we saw that with the filters of taking other people's faces and now stealing your voice. I mean, for me, I've been really shocked with myself when I've gotten, like my daughter and I were talking the other day, and I don't know, we were talking how we feel bad when we see like a delivery robot getting stuck in a pothole. You're like, oh, he's stuck in a pothole. Oh my God, somebody's got to help him. And so we're already moving into this area of humanizing a robot, already looking at it and going, he's stuck, because it looks like a little dog and he's carrying a pizza and he runs over a bump and he's like laying there and you're like, oh my God, we got to go help him. And that we're creating these empathic kind of already, we're being indoctrinated to care about a machine. It's really kind of like weird. It's like I don't know how to say it. It's like I see it going across the street and I seriously look at it and go, isn't he cute? He's like, and he's doing his thing.
I'm so guilty. I'm so guilty. But this is how we're getting indoctrinated. This is ridiculous.
I know. I swear to God, I'm going to be like naming it. Like, oh, Charlie. It's like that because we already, what was that movie we watched in like the 80s? He was so cute, the little robot and everything. And he was like through the room on the John Keep or whatever. That it was like I was already there. I see it coming down in New York. He was going to New York as bumpy as, and he's out there in the New York. He's in New York, y'all.
And we're rooting for him.
And I'm like, God, get across that 14th Street before somebody runs you over. It's terrible.
It really is.
So this whole AI thing and that, I can't even imagine, I'm thinking like you're sitting somewhere, you're on an interview and you're thinking, who's this thing she is interviewing? And they can hear it, or they go somewhere and go, I don't want to hire her because she's got an attitude. Like,
right.
Or you go anywhere and you've got to like take a pill to make your brain just like be erased. Yes. This is like turning into Brave New World more and more every day, y'all. Uh-huh. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. You'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, sitting on a bus. You're just going to be counting all fucking hours.
So let me ask, if either of you use AI at all? And if you have, what for and what were your thoughts?
Have I used it?
Yes.
AI? Yeah,
Yes.
I've used it.
I've used it.
Let me tell you what I've used it for. Okay, I use it for good. I use it for the good side. I like to use it when I do my property descriptions because I do love my descriptions to really make you feel comfortable and explain the home. I'm not that excellent with words sometimes. Right. So I put in my key factors and truths about the house and I let it write for me. And then I make my tweaks. I don't do it for anything else. I did when it first came out, y'all. I did. Yeah. I did tell it, okay, explain me. So, describe me. And it went out and found my stuff on the web and it described me to a T.
Yeah.
Wow.
It does.
Wow.
You know, and it gets smarter and smarter. I mean, I like to use it when I'm doing some kind of writing or research, really. And if I'm writing to understand, like, you know, even like an email response, I can like go write very warm and fuzzy and say how much I, you know, adore this or whatever. But I think that was just those were experimental things. So I think for certain things that I work on that I have to do really descriptives about my bio, like, can you because it created a disassociation, like a separation where I'm not editing myself all the way. So.
Okay. So little catch up here. Paul says, I saw one of those carts for the first time about 6 weeks ago, and I was so stunned. I thought pretty soon people are going to have their own versions of RDD2 in their house. They are cute. LOL.
Wally. It was Wally. That was
it was Wally.
Wally. I loved it. Yes, R2D2 was another one. And I even loved C3PO in Star Wars too. I remember it was so cute.
Share Knight says, good night. I've been getting a lot of AI spam from a particular company and it's getting annoying. Overkill.
Yeah.
Because it's a shiny new toy, y'all. Yeah. It will lessen in some parts. People are definitely grabbing onto the new toy. So, and they're competing for the best one because even Google and Microsoft, they're all doing their own.
Yeah, they're like, how can I help you? Yeah. I had it give me a menu. I need menu planning for next week. Give me some ideas that involve asparagus. And so I got them. Yeah. You know, I was like, okay, all right. Thank you. Or gardening. So, you know, some things are wrong, like, but it's the AI. You know, I think for me, it was another area where we saw it was that ruling this week with Princess Warhol picture where the photographer, she won her rights because the Warhol estate had sort of Warholed up one of her pictures. Mm-hmm. And that is being done, like a lot of these new pictures and stuff, to be honest, are being done with AI. So follow this case because that was, you know, Sonia Sotomayor and all those people had to rule on how this is starting to be used a little bit. And the rights kept reverting back to the owner. But the problem is now also, if people are writing on the platform, who's owning this? Who's the copyright owner, especially with the software and all of this? I don't even know anymore. I'm just
this has opened another Pandora's box. All of the industries now must be very, very careful. But this is why that's why the writers in Hollywood are striking.
Totally.
Because
I was working on a script and we literally, a friend of mine, were working on something. And then I said, I wonder what would happen if we do a one pager. And seriously, it broke that out. Boom, 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 boom. And I was stunned. I said, oh my God, it was very weird and corny. It was like nothing but it was really wild that it has the capacity to do it. I think that for me, what's upsetting me the most about our country and the politicians and their that we keep having to deal with Trump and all of that. Nothing is getting done. We are really, really way behind on this AI stuff. And we really need to get
Europe is way ahead.
Totally, because we're messing with like this crap with the two-toed Taylor Greens and the hostage taking of our country, basically, where we're going to default on June 1st. And then we got to worry if Joe Biden's going to be like, okay, let's just call the 14th Amendment in. It's like, end of story. Be the dude that just wakes up and goes, you know what, y'all, I'm going to do it.
Oh, I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Yeah, like, no, you didn't get a chance to talk, Kevin McCarthy. No, I don't like you. You know, I would really like it. Like, you know what? Because there's a day I want to see a president that just because that's what Trump did. Yeah. And I'm not saying it was right, but just as a grown man, there's got to be something that Joe Biden wakes up and goes, y'all, you know, because it makes me think that he was a little bit of a soft dad. Like, I like some kind of the dad and mom where they go, enough. That's it. Let me take your candy. Like, I took the door off of my daughter's bedroom one day. Okay. And I was like, enough. Got up, unscrewed it. That's it. That's what we're going to do. And then I kept saying, I'm going to take this away. And I know it's not the best parental thing to do. For about 2 weeks, Zuzu was living like Gandhi in the bedroom. I mean, like with no bed, no chair. The dog was sleeping with her and she had a little like towel because I don't like mouth. So we did that. I had all this bedroom furniture in my living room, but I didn't care. This is in New York. I was like, I'm not going to do it. But I want Joe Biden to finally do that with all these people. Like, they want to have a meeting. No, we ain't doing that. Y'all go home. We're going to turn it another way.
When you said, you hit it so on target this week with your tweet, when you said, I think this needs to be shown on TV.
Absolutely.
We need to see all the shenanigans that's going on behind the scenes. I was like, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think about that. Excellent. Yes, we do need to see what is going on behind closed doors.
How are y'all clowning us? They clowning us by not putting it on TV. You're clowning us. So, you know, if you want any money from me on your freaking new run for your people, because I got to say, I won't be voting for the same people again. I will vote for new Dems who come in. I'm changing up. You're not going to get the okie doke anymore. No. So everybody should just run if they can.
All right. That's it for tonight, family. As you can tell, they had nothing to say. Had nothing to say.
As usual.
Nothing to say. But as always, I want to say thank you so much to both of you for taking the time to share with the audience. Audience loved it as always. And got another comment here. Yes, Black Beauty goes, kudos, Jill. If President Biden did that, it would be fantastic. Jen Meyer, great conversation. Thank you. But as always, before we shut it down, we need to get the description of where we can find these wonderful ladies. So first off, LaLa Keys in the house.
And you can find me at Realty Goddess on all platforms.
All right. And then there is a lady named Jill D.
You can find me at Jill D. Jones on Twitter, but I'm kind of mellowing on Twitter. I don't like how they treated me. And so I'm moving out of that. But you can Jill Jones Music, my Instagram. I definitely serve up some issues. I put them up frequently, kind of take them down, but I'd rather have discussions there. I don't want to deal really too much with Twitter all that much. I'm sick of them. And I don't want to keep helping Elon Musk. Like, I'm not really.
All right. That is, and again, and I've been urging, I think, I know LaLa joined. Jill, you joined Discord?
I did. Yeah, I just don't know how it works.
Okay, so what we got to do, so I'm just going to start putting some stuff out there and you'll get notified. So we want to start building a community there, but we have to get our wonderful ladies to start things going, and then we can say, everyone join us. Because if they go there and they see an empty page, they go, these guys said to come over here and there's nothing going on. So we're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen.
You know, a lot of times people don't want to leave these platforms because, you know, you think you're going to be able to monetize something. And on Twitter,
this is not for monetize. The reason why we want to build this community family is in between conversations, You may not get, we can have a safe and brave space so we can continue the conversation.
But like I said, arm yourself with positivity in these days, because it's really, it's definitely needed. And I think when people see that you're having a lovely, wonderful time, and then they find out who you support, it ain't that crepity creature, from the Orange Lagoon.
Okay, so look at this already. So Cinema Canal goes, yeah, it went super fast. Yes, it did. Fitness IQ Camp, lovely conversation. Fitness IQ Camp, you haven't added me. So family, we got to start getting some content in there, because again, I don't want people coming and say, these guys aren't active on this platform.
Fine. I'll do a tutorial and figure out how it works this weekend.
No, you don't need a tutorial. Just, no, we can, after we're finished, I'll just give a quick thing and we can start just making comments and things like that. So get it started. So, all right, now what I'm going to do is tell how you guys can get a hold of me while the two ladies take a break, because they worked tonight. They worked it to the bone. Work it to the bone. Who sung that song? Work it to the, I got to remember who sung that, but you can catch me at my website, the drvibeshow.com, email dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter at drvibeshow, and Instagram at the drvibeshow. You can watch replays of this epic conversation at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and at the Dr. Vibe Show website homepage. I think that's it, y'all. So we are done another epic conversation. Thanks for everyone who watched live and on the replay. Appreciate it, not taken for granted. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching the YouTube shorts. We are getting great traction and response on the YouTube shorts. So that's another reason why you need to subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, because throughout the week, we're releasing conversation pieces from this conversation and other Dr. Vibe Show conversations. So subscribe, notification, make it happen. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. So what else are we going to do? That's it. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, you can also promote your business or service on our show. Contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. All right. And I'm going to say it again. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button, and also like it on Facebook and LinkedIn. So this is how we close out. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Thanks again. We'll see you next Saturday. Be well and keep the faith.
Mm-hmm.